There is a fundamental disagreement in this country that seems to go down ideological lines at the moment about whether we have a need for government intervention to get us out of this problem, or whether the economy will fix itself just fine once more people are vaccinated and cities start to opening up. What's the truth of the matter as far as you're concerned?
This report was kind of startling because there were a lot of job losses. There were a lot of permanent job losses and temporary job losses, which I think shocked many of us who have been watching the numbers. We had been anticipating continued growth. We hadn't really been anticipating the setbacks that we saw in manufacturing and in some of the other areas where we thought that we would still see steady but modest job growth. And the ability to reconnect workers, both from the side of employers who have lost contact with workers because the job networks that supplied them with workers have been so disrupted, but also from the workers who now are separated from those kind of jobs and those kind of contacts. It's very complex to get them all back. And it was disturbing to see how hard it is for those who are unemployed to find jobs. We saw a big jump in people who are under 5 weeks unemployed. That's 237,000 people. And a large chunk of those were new job entrants, not people who get unemployment checks. These are new job entrants who found it very difficult. Their unemployment jumped.
So this is interesting because there is a real concern out there, and I've spoken to small businesses, particularly restaurants, who say, well, we're having trouble hiring people. But that's not actually the case for most of the population. The Washington Post had a story here which reads that 2 Republican-led states, Montana and South Carolina, have canceled federal unemployment benefits in the last week, blaming them for hampering the return to work. And the business lobby has echoed those concerns as well, with the Chamber of Commerce using the disappointing jobs report to call for the end of the $300 a week unemployment supplement that the federal government is currently providing. Bill, give me a fact check on this. People are not taking jobs because they're getting a $300 a week temporary unemployment assistance from the government?
We studied this heavily in the summer because the $600 that have been added to the unemployment check, not the $300, the $600 that have been added last year, caused this same argument that people wouldn't return. But we saw throughout the summer that people, in fact, did return to jobs and reemployment. It wasn't because of the $600. And it's kind of common sense from an economist perspective, just from the job theory of job search. You have to think about what's the expected value of continuing to look. We have 4 million Americans who have been unemployed over 26 weeks. That means there are a lot of Americans who know they have very little chance of finding a job. So the expected value of continuing to search is 0. So it doesn't make sense. And the data and the reports that we have, there are articles on the American Economic Review, a wonderful report from JP Morgan Chase Institute, all documenting that the extra money, what it did do was provide stability for the economy, continued consumption by those who are unemployed, and kept us from having a much worse recession.
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, $300 a week is $7.50 an hour. It's $15,600 a year if you work full time. If that's what you're robbing the system of, you're not a very successful robber. I want to talk to you about women, the point that the vice president was making. Let's look at this thing called labor force participation, which is a much better measure of what's going on in the economy. 67.6% men, 56.1% women. How do you interpret that?
Well, there have always been a gap there. Labor force participation did not recover for women for most of this century, and we know what the problems are. We don't have paid family leave. We don't have enough child care facilities in the United States. What we do have is too expensive, and we haven't done what other industrialized countries have done to increase women's labor force participation. That was a problem before this happened, and it's been exacerbated by this situation. That's why what's in that American Family Plan that the president has proposed is so vital, because we have to get women's labor force participation rate back up. We saw the birth rate in the U.S. has collapsed. The only way we're going to continue to grow is we have to have bigger labor force participation. And
you studied other countries. The United States is uniquely bad at this.
We are uniquely bad at this. Japan, which has confronted the same aging as Europe, knew they had to get women's labor force participation rate up. Many people thought it was just cultural. It's something about the Japanese culture that, you couldn't get women's labor force participation up. But it's exceeded the United States. So they started off behind us and they've gotten ahead of us. And it was through doing the things that the president is proposing in terms of paid leave, help with child care, the child tax credit that he wants to extend beyond this year is vital for getting women into the labor force, and his getting child care workers paid so that we can keep a steady supply of well-paid child care workers is vital to women's jobs, women's wages, and getting women in the labor force.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.